Okay, welcome to story time. It's me, Josh. If you didn't realise already, this is Little Miss Whoops. That's what we're reading today. Kind of looks a little bit like Mr. Bump. Little Miss Whoops seems like she gets in some accidents as well. Got some bandages on. This is by Roger Hargreaves from the Little Miss Library of Books. We've only got this one and another two after this, and then we're going to move on to some other cool books and some cool stories and adventures after that. So let's find out what happens in this story today. Get comfortable, get ready wherever you are, because we're about to delve into story time. That's right, here we go. Little Miss Whoops is one of those people who have accidents all the time. She has lots of little accidents, like when she's trying to make lunch and drops the eggs. Whoops. Uh-oh. Still got a smile on the dial though, which is good. And she has big accidents, like when she painted her bedroom and tripped over the paint pot. Whoops. Every morning when she makes a cup of tea, she spills the milk, tips over the sugar bowl, drops the tea bag, breaks the biscuits, knocks her cup of tea across the table and has to start it all over again. Whoops. Some days it can take hours before she leaves the house. Little Miss Whoops really is the most accident-prone person in the world. Well, not quite, it says. Maybe they might be talking about Mr. Bump as well. Let's see. Little Miss Whoops has a brother, Mr. Bump. He's just like his sister, if not worse. But that is another story, which you may have read. Each year, Little Miss Whoops travels by train to visit her brother for a week. She set off last Tuesday. We have also read Mr. Bump as well, if you want to search the page and find that one from the Mr. Men Library. It's a funny book. This Tuesday, Mr. Bump looked at his clock, which was lying on the ground. He just knocked it over. His sister was late. A whole week late. Uh-oh. Then why was Little Miss Whoops late? The whole chapter of accidents, of course. While her train was waiting in a station, she somehow or other tripped and fell out of the train. Whoops. You gotta be very careful on trains. They're dangerous because some of them, they just arrive and go, and they come fast. They're heavy. You got to be careful around trains and train tracks. And then she somehow or other tripped and fell into the back of a lorry, which took her to Seatown. Whoops. So she's ended up in the back of a delivery truck going somewhere somehow. Where somehow or other she tripped and fell into a boat, which took her to another country. Whoops, it says. It's a little bit of a whoops indeed. She had to wait nearly a week to get another boat back. Look, you can see the boat going the opposite direction now, and Little Miss Whoops on the back there. And another lorry. Oh. And another train. Little Miss Whoops is exhausted by the time she finally reached her brother's house. I thought you were coming last week, said Mr. Bump. Must have been a long trip. It was, said Little Miss Whoops. Would you like a cup of tea? Offered Mr. Bump. Reunited finally. After being very, very, very late, Little Miss Whoops. Oh no, these pages keep tearing on me. That's no good. I like to keep my books in good condition. Uh-oh. Something must have gone wrong in the delivery. Oh, that's no good. Alright, well you know what tea involved, don't you? Let's continue on. That made me a little bit sad, these tears. Ooh. They spilt the milk, tipped over the sugar bowl, dropped the tea bags, broke the biscuits and knocked the tea all over the table. What a mess. Teaming up on that mess. Oh, look at the time, cried Little Miss Whoops, knocking over the clock. I've got to go if I'm to catch my train home. Looking at the clock, knocked it over, and then have to look at it like this on the ground. She grabbed her suitcase and rushed out of the door. Goodbye, she called. Goodbye, called back Mr. Bump. See you next year. Mr. Bump waved from the doorway until she had rounded the corner. Then he closed the door, but as he did, the door handle came off in his hand. "Whoops," said Mr. Bump. Well, excuse me, my coffee. Little Miss Whoops done for today by Roger Hargreaves. We've got 2 more to go from the Little Miss Library of Books. They've been so good. We've had so many cool stories and fun adventures that we've embarked on so far. That's all we have time for today. I'll be back with another story very, very soon. Let me check my watch. Whoops. Alright, bye for now, but definitely not forever. I'm Josh, this is Story Time. See ya.